Hey, this is Craig from Captain America Projects, and today we're going to show you how to build this wonderful little back door awning, or it could be a front door awning, whatever you decide. This one's got nice 4x4 posts for support, and then it's just a basic, simple construction. It's a great way to keep your front steps dry and your doormat. So we live out here in the Northwest where it's very rainy, but many homes do not have a shade over their door. So you leave your doormat out there and it gets soaking wet all the time. So we're going to show you how to prevent that problem with a simple little awning. You can build this in probably somewhere between 3 to 5 hours depending on your expertise. Very simple, easy to do, so come along with us and we'll show you how we did it.
So a beautiful day like this in Oregon in the middle of winter can be a rarity. So we're going to take advantage to get this project done. So come along with us and we'll show you how to put up an awning. I've got a few other different styles of awning videos on our channel, so make sure to check those out as well for all your awning styling needs. Anyway, so this awning is going to be more of a tall awning. It's going to be roughly about 8 or 9 feet tall, and with a nice gradual slope. And this is going to be over a back door, but this could be nice for a front door. So here's our spot where we're going to put it up. Got all the materials laid out. So the first thing I did was dig the holes out for the support beams. And what I did is I measured about 3 feet from the house. That's about 3 feet to the edge of the hole. And then I started there and then just dug away. And this doesn't have to be precise, the distance apart, and I'll show you why later. So I measured each of those 3 feet, then I dug them down. Then to get them level, what you want to do is have a 2x4, and you put it on each one right in the metal rack there, and then you use your level and make sure it's nice and balanced. We got a nice good balance here, because especially with our yard, since we're doing this, each side of this flower bed is not even. So you want to make sure it's level because you want the posts to be relatively level. Next thing we did, we took our support beams, dropped them in the little metal bracket here, and we took our drill. Get that extra. We took our drill and started the hole while it was in there. I just drill it just a fraction of an inch, and then I take it out, find a nice flat surface to lay it on, and then I drilled the rest of the way through. I had a thicker drill. You want to make sure, these are the bolts we're going to use, so you make sure it's big enough for the bolts. So by laying it on a flat ground, you can concentrate on making sure it's a straight shot all the way through. It's very important to make that a straight shot, because it's got to come through these little holes on either side of the bracket. And so if you don't get a very straight shot, you're gonna run into problems later. All right. So next step is you're going to need a partner for this. So I'll go ahead and get my partner, and we'll get started putting this up. What you want to have ready is you want to have both of your support beams ready to go with the holes drilled already. You want to have your bolts ready, and then you want to have your 2x4s that are going to connect to the house ready. I got those here, and what I did here, these are each, I cut these each 4 feet long. It's just an 8-foot 2x4 cut in half, and then I cut a 15-degree angle on each end. The 15-degree angle is that's the slope I want coming off the house. You can adjust your angle on whatever depending on the slope you want. So you want that to sit flush on the house and have a nice angle for the water and everything to run off of. So you want to have all of these things, right, especially if you're like me, you're working with just one other partner. You want to have all your stuff ready to go, because this next step, you got to kind of do that really quickly all together. So I got my support beams here. I'm going to put them kind of in arm's reach. Got my 4x4s, and this is very important. You want to have your screwdriver ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and put a screw in there. So it's all ready, fired up and ready to go. Alright, let's go ahead and get my partner and we'll get started on the next step. All I need now is a lovely assistant. Bring me a lovely assistant, please. Boom, there we go. Alright, so we're going to have her hold these beams while I fasten them in. Wait, turn it around. I wanted that a little tight to go toward the house. Good to have a hammer to kind of help these in if your hole is a little tight. Okay, and I tightened that down just hand tight. You're going to leave it hand tight for now. And as you can see, it kind of holds itself. Not super recommended to leave it like that though, because especially if you have any wind going, it could easily take that down and possibly break it. So go ahead and hold that still. And we want to make this as level as possible. And as you can see, it looks like we need to add a little more dirt in the hole because the whole thing is a little bit unlevel. So in our case, we're going to have to pull that out and add a little more dirt in there. Alright, so if you can help me lift, I'll take this part. So I'm just going to move I got some loose dirt in here to help me balance it. So just going to move that around a little, put it on the lower side, and then we'll try her again. Looks a little more level there. Let's get out our level. So this needs to go about there, this way. So kind of hold it about there. This doesn't have to be precise, but should be pretty close. You want it fairly close to level. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is get up on my ladder here. I'm going to first go up here and eyeball this. So these are going to connect. So you're going to see. Ooh, and that's just tall enough. Or maybe I should put it under. Yeah, no, I'm going to do it up top. Yeah, actually that's just about right. So, and then I'm going to mark, forgot to bring a pen. Luckily there's a knot about where I need to drill, so I can use that as a reference. So I'm going to drill a couple of holes here to have this ready to go. So I can see, so one here, one there. Then what I'm going to do is drill a hole in the top of the curve here. That's going to go into the house, and one, probably do one on the bottom. So what I like to do when I'm drilling at an angle, start straight and then curve once you get started. So I'm going to start. And yeah, I'll go ahead and put one screw on the bottom as well. It's probably easier actually if I start at the end of the board. It's a little softer that way. Alright. Now, actually, this is probably the best way to do it, is to go ahead and get the screws started. Alright, up the ladder we go. We want to kind of roughly get that in place. And I'll do these ones first since that's got a little bit of a ledge to sit on.
Hold that until you're ready.
I don't know how that would work. It's best if you just hold this steady.
Okay.
If this is steady, then it helps support you. Actually, I'm going to have to redo one of those holes. Okay, we got that in?
Yep.
Now we're good. With the house, it's important to make sure this is a pretty good 90-degree angle. Hold that real firm, like maybe put pressure toward the house. I want to make sure we got a good 90-degree angle here. Okay, so I can see by the lines of the house. You see how it needs to be straightened? Wait, don't do it yet. So if you stand back a little bit, you'll see that it needs to come. Does that look straight with the lines of the house?
I think it does.
Here, why don't you take a step back? I can hold this
Okay.
and look at it.
You go a little bit more over. Yeah, hold it. Where is it? Kim. Yeah, that looks good.
All right. So now we got it straight, square with the house. So I'm going to go ahead and screw these guys in. Do the top one actually all the way first. Alright, now that should hold it fairly steady while you get the rest done. I'll go ahead and screw this. It actually looks like it'll be okay. Alright. I'm going to actually do a third screw there. Real quick. Is this thing still recording? Probably stop it for a second. Okay, so while she was holding that post, what I was doing is I put in a screw, those two angled screws right into the house. And luckily we have this cross board on our house. So that helps with the support. If you don't have one of those, I'd recommend putting something in, or alternatively you can get metal brackets that attach right to your house that the board can sit in. But you definitely need some support more than just those two screws. That would not be enough. Alright, and then so I put two screws in here. I'm going to go ahead and put in a third now that I can really see where it needs to go. Actually, we forgot to check that for level. Can you grab that level, please?
It's pretty darn close.
Okay, yeah, we'll leave it. It should be okay. Okay, so now we got 3 screws in there and 2 screws up top. It's relatively sturdy for the time being. Now let's go do the other one. Okay, so now we're going to put in the second beam. Hopefully I got my hole drilled straight. The other one seemed to work out fine. And lean it that way for me. barely made it. Started to catch on the metal. I must have been a little off on that one. And then once again, you're going to hand tighten this only. Put on the washer and the nut. Okay, and then we're going to repeat the process with the other beam coming out of the house. Ready? Okay, I could tell by looking that that wasn't even close to level, or at least vertical with the house, I should say. So we're going to put in some dirt here on this side of it. Yeah, that looks much better. All right. Go ahead and move my ladder over here. So first I'm going to go up the ladder just to eyeball where my holes are going to need to be. I'm going to put it in the house. Can you hold the level on it too? And at this point you should have your partner hold the level to make sure this is somewhat straight. You move it until it's level. Oh,
It's level.
hey, we nailed it. So then all I need to do is see where my screws need to go. Oh, and this one's actually going to need a twist. We got a little bit of a twist on it, so we're going to have to twist it this direction because my beam is not sitting flush on this.
Okay.
All right. So my hole is a little crooked. I can see now I didn't do the hole very straight. Okay, let's see if that works. And back in the hole we go. Let me stand back and look at that. Okay, I think we went a little too much, but that should be easy to, there. Probably about that. That looks pretty close. Okay, make sure your assistant has their level handy. You're going to go back up on the ladder. We're going to get this level with the board, and then I'm going to have my beautiful assistant step back and see if it looks straight with the house, like step over there, and make sure that this lines up with the lines on the house.
You gotta go to the left a little bit. There
That?
you go. Yep.
Now go ahead and do the level one more time.
Yeah.
Wow, pretty right on the level. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and screw this in. Felt it slip a little. You want to make sure these come up at least as high as the top of the 4x4, because otherwise it'll get in the way of the roofing that you're going to put on later. Okay. Can I keep pressure on that toward the house? So I'm going to go ahead and put these L brackets on either side of the 2x4. There, that gives it a lot more support. And then we're going to just go around and put one of these on either side of each 2x4. Practice my left hand drilling here. I'm not left-handed. So get it about where you want it. Okay, now we're going to put in our final L bracket. Okay, shoot. That's why it's nice to have a lovely assistant who can pick up your dropped screws. And that's what I get for not using the little sleeve. Bam! L bracket's done. Okay, now we're on the next step, which is a very important one because this is going to tie the whole thing together. We're going to put our cross beam that's going to join all this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it and pre-drill the holes, and then we'll go ahead and put that up, and let's get to it. So on this next step, you're going to have your lovely assistant, or your ugly assistant if that's what you got, hold the board up. Any assistant is a good assistant. So you have them hold it up, and we took the measurement, and basically to be centered, this needs to stick out 4.5 inches on either side. So I went ahead and measured my 4.5 inches, and then I take my pencil and I put 3 screw holes. I kind of stagger them in different positions. You don't want screw holes in line because it could eventually split this 2x4. So I got one here, one here, one here. Now I'm going to switch places with lovely assistant. Sneak a kiss as you pass. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. This doesn't have to be perfectly level for this step, but try to have it somewhat level so when you slide it up into position it'll be in the right spot. Same thing, I'm going to put one screw there, one over here, and one down here. Alright, so once you do that, go ahead and bring her down, and then we're going to pre-drill our holes. Here comes little kitty cat to help us out. She's always good at helping with projects. Not going to show the key. Okay. Get started with me. One thing that's nice is if you're using a wood bit, it actually has a sharp little point at the end. And I love that because then when you're about to drill, you just jam it in and it holds it in place while you're drilling. So next we're going to go ahead and mount that crossbeam. So summon your beautiful assistant. Boo! And then they can hold one side while you hold the other. And what's important here is this needs to come right up against this 2x4 because we're going to have other cross beams that are going to rest on this. So make sure it's slammed right up against. Put your screws in the middle of the post. Keep upward pressure on that. And screw her in. So actually the best thing to do is just put one screw in there and then come over here and do the other side. So if you need to move it, you can. Alright, got the rest of the screws to put in, but as you can see now the whole structure is a lot more sturdy because it's all connected. I'll be using 4-foot by 2-foot panels for the roofing, so I need one of these every 2 feet. So I went ahead and cut these. These are all 4 feet in length with a 15-degree angle cut on one side, just like I did on the other ones. And a 15-degree angle cut on one end, just like I did on the other ones. So next I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill them and put my screws in to have them ready to go. Sorry about the noise, but my neighbor is thinning out his forest. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill all these. Remember, this is the 15-degree angle cut. The The beams we put in earlier, these are just to support the structure. They're not really positioned in a way to support the roof. So all the beams now I'm doing are going to support the roof. So you want those exactly 2 feet apart. So this needs to come right at the edge of the board here. So this should be flush. And now what I'm going to do at this end is this, I'm going to drill through here up into here, and that's where I'm going to put the screw to secure that. Alright, and you can see, nice and tight, so that should be good. Bam! Now we got the whole frame done, except that we are going to put a few cross beams in between the slats, and you have to put some little cross beams in between because that's what's going to help support the plastic roof. If you don't, it will sag in between the 2 feet beams. So next we're going to measure those and get those cut out. So next we're going to take our measurements and put in our little cross beams that go across this way, and I'll probably do 2, one about there and then one down here near the end too, and you'll stagger them on either side. You'll see why. It's so you can screw them in. So let's go ahead and get those measured and cut and put those up. Okay, so now we're going to take the little measurements for the inside pieces. I'm going to start with the big pieces, and I'll do these little pieces at the end so I can just use scraps that I have left over. So, I'm just going to measure inside to inside. So those first 2 are 13 inches. Those are going to be a little abnormal because of the intermediate piece there. The others should be closer to 2 feet. All right, let's go ahead and get those cut. So what you're going to do here is kind of place it. The top of this needs to be flush with the tops of these. So just kind of place it in there where you want it. And then you're going to pre-drill from the outside of the 2x4s. Once you get those started, go ahead and put the beam up here. So as you can see, the gap between these is so small, you can't really get your drill up in there. So for these ones, you just angle them. Just these 2 are going to be just angled, so you just drill them at an angle from the bottom, and then angle this one from the top down. And that should be fine. So your screws will go in a little bit at an angle, but just try to make it as minimal angle as possible. So here you can see why you stagger. So you stagger them, that way you can have access to screwing this one in, and then you go to this side and you can screw that one in. So you don't want them all parallel, as you won't be able to access the screws. our roof panels, we want 4-foot panels. So I bought a couple 8-footers and we're just going to cut them in half with some tin snips. So first we're going to measure 4 feet. I'll mark there. And 4 feet there. Draw my line. Alright. I'm going to see if I can't cut through 2 of these, because these are made to cut metal, so it should cut through plastic. Should be able to cut through 2 sheets pretty easy. But here we go. Bam. Set them down there. There you go. So we went through 2 sheets. So now we've got 4 roof panels to put up. Let's go ahead and get those up. Okay, and for the roof panels, you need some sort of screws like this. These are Tex, 1.5 inch. That's probably plenty big. And they have this, like basically a rubber washer that squishes around the screw, and that's what keeps the water from coming in everywhere you drill the hole. So let's go ahead and get those roof panels going. And these screws, you just put them just randomly every little bit, every foot or so. It doesn't have to be precise, just enough to hold it down if the wind blows it up from underneath.